All right, let's talk about Vietnam. It's an absolute giant when it comes to growing coffee and tea. But here's the thing. When you buy a premium cup, most of that money doesn't actually go back to Vietnam. Today, we're diving into VietDak, a company with a really bold plan to flip that script and turn raw beans and leaves into powerful global brands. So, it all starts with this huge puzzle. How can a country be a world leader in producing something but only get a tiny piece of the final pie? Well, you see, the real value, the big money, gets added thousands of miles away, long after the raw goods have been shipped out. And wow, this slide really puts that value gap into perspective. Look at tea. The price jumps almost 7 times from a raw leaf to a branded product. For coffee, it's more than a 4-fold increase. This massive gap isn't just a problem. For a company like VietDak, it's the entire business opportunity right there. So, how are they going to pull this off? We're going to break down their whole strategy in 6 parts, following the journey from the raw materials all the way to their pretty ambitious global vision. Okay, so let's dig into this paradox of potential. Vietnam has totally mastered the art of growing huge amounts of high-quality crops. That part's down. But it hasn't quite cracked the code on capturing all the economic value that comes after the harvest. I mean, just take Robusta coffee. Vietnam is the world's #1 producer. That is a massive achievement. But by exporting raw, unroasted green beans, the country is basically selling potential for pennies on the dollar. The real money is in the processing, the branding, and the story you tell with that final cup. Okay, so that's the problem. What's the solution? This is where VietDak's vision comes in, and their idea isn't just about building a better factory. Nope, it's about creating an entire high-value ecosystem, from the farm all the way to the final cup. And their whole game plan really boils down to these 3 key pillars. It's about complete control, owning the entire process from the moment a seed goes in the ground to the moment a customer takes their first sip. That level of control is absolutely crucial for managing quality, cost, and, the final value of their product. And this is what that control gets you. The payoff is huge. By processing everything themselves, they're aiming to completely rewrite the numbers. This chart shows their goal, cranking up the product's value by up to 8 times for tea and a staggering 12 times for coffee. Now that's the power of deep processing. But of course, a fancy factory doesn't mean a thing if your ingredients aren't top-notch. So where does it all come from? What makes these raw materials so special in the first place? Well, you can see their approach is super strategic. They're focusing on 4 very distinct types of tea, and each one has a unique appeal. You've got everything from green tea, which is popular worldwide for its health benefits, all the way to Shan Tuet, a super rare artisanal tea that's harvested from ancient trees and sells for a major premium. All right, now for the fun part. This is where the real transformation, the magic, happens. It's one thing to have great leaves. It's a whole other thing to turn them into a world-class product. So let's take a peek inside the factory and see how technology creates that value. It's kind of like alchemy, right? By perfectly controlling these 4 stages, and fermentation is the really critical one, they can create completely different products from the exact same tea leaves. No fermentation gives you green tea, full fermentation gives you black tea, and that tricky in-between stage creates those complex, amazing oolongs. And when it comes to coffee, it's all about picking the right tool for the job to hit different markets. Spray drying, that's the cost-effective way to make instant coffee for the masses. But freeze drying, while it costs more, keeps way more of that original flavor and aroma, which lets them create a high-end, premium product that can go head-to-head with the best in the world. Okay, a great vision and cool tech are fantastic, but you need a solid business model to back it all up. So let's ask the big question, do the numbers actually work? So, getting this off the ground isn't cheap. We're talking a pretty significant initial investment, somewhere between 380 and 600 billion Vietnamese dong. That covers everything, the land, the buildings, and of course, all that state-of-the-art machinery. Now this is really interesting. When you look at where the money goes each year, notice what's at the top of the list, raw materials. For a company that's building its entire brand on quality, that is exactly what you want to see. It means they're prioritizing investment right at the source of their product. And here's the kicker. Even with that huge upfront cost, the business model projects a remarkably fast payback. The forecast shows them getting a full return on all that capital in just 3 to 4 years. That signals this could be a highly profitable venture. But VietDak isn't just playing for the next quarter. They're playing the long game. They're thinking way bigger, planning their growth in strategic phases over the next decade to build a global brand that lasts. And you can see that long game laid out right here. It's a very deliberate three-phase roadmap. First, they build a powerful brand and foundation at home. Once they've secured their home turf, they pivot to exports with the ultimate goal of becoming a name that's recognized and respected all over the world.
And the end goal, well, it's so much more than just a coffee and tea company. They're building this whole four-pillar ecosystem. It starts with sustainable farming, moves to the industrial processing, then to sales and commerce, and finally, it even includes tourism, creating cultural experiences around their products.
And what holds this whole thing together is what they call the triple win philosophy. By owning the whole supply chain, they create a model where everybody wins. The farmers get paid more for better crops, the business makes a profit, and you, the consumer, get a superior product at a fair price. And really, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? To transform simple raw materials into high-value global products. That's the mission. Which, leaves us with this one big question to chew on. If VietDak pulls this off, could their model become a blueprint for other countries? A way for nations that are rich in resources to finally capture the full economic value of what they produce? It's definitely a strategy worth watching.